Are you fascinated by the paranormal and want to hear about encounters that have happened to real-life people in real-life places? Do you need a drink to calm those nerves after hearing some scary stories?
You're listening to Booze and Bourbon.
Well, we invite you to grab a drink, whether it's a coffee or something with a little bit more spirit in it. Grab a blanket, snuggle in, because I'm Kim and that's Jen, and we're Booze and Bourbon.
Welcome back, everybody. I am Jen, and this is Kim.
Hello, Jen. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
You look really great.
Oh my gosh, thank you. You're so sweet.
And thanks for finding my missing cup that I just saw sitting over here.
It's been here for 2 weeks. I've been babysitting it for you.
Thank you.
I didn't put any bourbon in it because it's not glass, and we both know that we like bourbon in real glass.
Absolutely. In case it's an emergency and you have to use, whatever you can. But
Yes, exactly. I mean, even a paper cup would work if somebody offered you bourbon and you had nothing else.
yes, it would.
Yeah. So how have you been? How's your week been?
Well, I've been really living it up. We'll just call it like a vacation.
Yeah.
But not vacation. We'll just call it a staycation. So, sleeping in, putting Bailey's in my coffee every day, and also, adding some bourbon in there and really just, enjoying my free time.
Living the good life. I like it. So I'm going to tell you guys how much of a senior citizen I am. I play darts. Not that that's really a senior thing, because it is really fun. Anyway, so I played darts today in a mixed doubles tournament. And as soon as the bar opened at 10 o'clock, I was like, my coffee is really lonely. It needs some Baileys. So I started my day off with Baileys too. Love it.
And how did you do in that tournament?
Terrible.
I was going to say, I know you're fire when it comes to darts, but apparently this wasn't your day.
No, most certainly wasn't. I did score 134 once, which was really good. I think that's probably one of the highest scores I've ever gotten. No 180s for me, but
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was fun. Anyway, so today's episode, we have been talking about for a really long time. It's something that I know you really wanted to do. And it just so happens that it's kind of in the news these days, especially over Halloween. It was really in the news. There's a lady who was looking at her child sleeping in its crib through the baby monitor. And for a really long time, she kept seeing the image of another baby in the crib with her child. And
Well, I mean, as exciting as it was initially, because it did really look like an actual other baby right beside her baby.
Yep.
Sadly, though, it was actually the imprint of the packaging on the mattress below that has a picture of a baby on it. So
Yep.
But it would still be very freaky, because if you look at the picture, which it's still all over the internet right now, it does legit look like there's a ghost child sleeping beside her child. So
It totally does.
Yeah.
And not to completely disappoint you guys and say, that's it, that's the end of our stories. We actually do have a lot of stories about parents who see very strange things in their children's baby monitors. So we're going to go over that today. And instead of doing a bourbon or a whiskey today, we're going to do a cocktail. And Jen, this cocktail, I believe you put on our Patreon page. It was our apple cider bourbon one. So if you guys want to become patrons, you just need to go over to patreon.com/booze and bourbon, where you see all of Jen's ex-bartender cocktail recipes. So we're going to try one out today for you, and fingers crossed it turns out as good as it did on my birthday.
I think it will.
Okay, good. We are using, not that you have to really get specific on what kind of bourbon you're using, but we're trying our basic basin bourbon, which is Evan Williams Kentucky Straight.
Great pour.
Whoa.
Whoa, that was a very generous pour.
So we've got our bourbon over some ice right now, and we're going to add some apple cider. There, add some apple cider. Then we're going to top it off with some ginger beer. This is actually spicy ginger beer. Our recipe, you can use either ginger beer or ginger ale, but we're just going to top this off with some spicy ginger beer to bring out the spices in our bourbon. And then you need just a little touch of lemon juice.
Just a little squirt.
Just a little squirt so it's not super, super sweet and you get some good acidity in there.
Acidity. That's a word that I probably would have messed up.
Acidity. And just going to give us a little stir here. Mm-hmm. It smells delightful.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That is one good recipe.
It's almost, I don't want to say refreshing, but it is kind of. It's like maybe the lemon gives it that little extra zing, but.
Yeah.
It's not like too sweet. It's not too dry. It's like a perfect balance.
It is.
With a little fizz in there.
It's definitely a fall-inspired cocktail. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to sip on this. We will include this recipe at the bottom of the show notes if you guys want to try it for yourselves. Mm-hmm. I know Thanksgiving is come and gone, but there's Christmas.
Yeah.
So you could pull this out for Christmas and impress your guests. Anyway, so Jen, now that we have some delicious bourbon in our bourbon pockets,
yes,
is it about that time for Would You Rather?
I think it is.
Do you want to go first?
I mean, certainly.
On the fly today?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
These are the special ones.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is going to be gross.
Do I need to crawl underneath the desk now?
No.
Do I need to press mute on the microphone yet?
Well, potentially.
Okay.
All right. So instead of having ears on your head, as we all do,
okay,
you would either have to now hear through your butthole. So your ear, it's not even an ear really. It's your hearing hole.
Uh-huh.
That's how you hear now.
Okay.
Or instead of having a tongue in your mouth that you taste with, you now have it on your forehead.
I have to taste with my forehead?
You have to taste with your forehead and or hear from your asshole.
Since there's a lot of things that go on during the run of a day that I would like to maybe not hear and not pay attention to, I feel like a lot of noises will be muffled.
Yeah.
Through layers of underwear and pants or what have you.
It's like wearing earplugs. You just sit on it instead.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Well, mine's going to be a little bit more with the theme of the show.
Okay.
Would you rather have your child have an actual ghost in its crib with it or, and discover that, or discover like at age 4 or 5 that there's been a spirit that's been attached to your child and you have to exorcise the child after you know it's been with them for 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, strong no on the exorcism of the child.
Okay.
I would prefer to not go that route. I will go with the mystery spirit that's hanging out, maybe even keeping him distracted.
Yeah.
So we'll go with that. It's almost like having a babysitter, but not.
Yeah, a
in
babysitter from the other side, and you're really not sure their credentials.
Right, true. So I'm going to pay them on the low end of the scale, maybe just with snacks,
Oh, snacks. I love snacks. Snacks would be good right now. Okay, so just after the break, guys, we're going to get into today's main topic, which is haunted baby monitors.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. So now we're going to get into some pretty crazy stories. And like I said, Jen really wanted to do this episode for a while. And here we are.
My secret obsession with weird shit and ghosts with babies.
Exactly.
Yeah, really made sense to me.
So we found this article from the Mirror UK, and it's a compilation of stories that have been written in by the author. So, not that long ago, a Los Angeles resident, Natalie Wallace, told the Wall Street Journal that she and her husband had been seeing strange, ghostly forms appear on their baby monitor. Wallace, who helps run a leadership development company, first noticed the apparitions one night a month ago while laying in bed. She glanced at their Cocoon Cam baby monitor and was surprised to see pink and purple blobs surrounding the baby's bassinet. The colors are meant to indicate motion, which was odd because her baby was fast asleep. I just want to say, like, new moms or moms of young children that use baby monitors, and dads, I'm not being selective here, parents will say, I was babysitting my youngest nephew the other day, and when the child turns on their back and their eyes are open and you see it in the baby monitor, it's terrifying.
Yeah. It is kind of Exorcist looking. Like with the lights always catch it. It looks a little creepy.
Yes, definitely. Okay, anyway. So it was a few days later that Wallace's husband showed her a screenshot he'd taken of a humanoid figure on the baby monitor. The figure appeared to be floating above the ground near their sleeping baby. Shortly after, they witnessed what looked like a number of ghostly shapes looming over the infant. Gary McMath, Cocoon Cam's marketing chief, blamed the apparitions on the baby monitor picking up objects moving in its frame, such as lights, shadows, or blowing curtains. McMath said that had the baby monitor been mounted on the wall as intended instead of placed on a dresser, it might not have malfunctioned. When the camera is properly installed, the computer vision would focus on the baby's motions, waking, sleeping, even breathing, he said. I hope this clarifies the matter. Despite McMath's assertion, there do not appear to be any objects in the baby's room that could be causing the malfunction. When pressed, he admitted that the company had been contacted by others who have experienced similar issues. So maybe this company, Cocoon Cam, maybe they're trying to cover up the fact that they're contacting spirits on the down low.
They're setting everybody up to have a great experience with ghosts and their babies. So.
Yeah. So Wallace tried to replicate the ghost by capturing other movement, including that of an alarm clock, her husband rocking the baby, and her baby moving in the bassinet. But she found that the colors signifying those motions didn't match the apparitions they had seen. The couple has since decided to turn off the motion detector and only use the baby monitor's audio from now on. I don't blame them.
No.
Two similar incidents from earlier this year seem to indicate that a rise in home monitoring may correlate to an increase in captured paranormal images.
In January, a woman in Atlanta, Georgia, took to social media to post a still image taken from her home security camera that seemed to show a ghostly image of her son, who passed away 2 years earlier. And in March, a Michigan couple captured on video what they believed to have been the ghosts that had been terrorizing their household for weeks. All right, this one is called When Baby Monitors Go Bump in the Night. We know it sounds crazy, but parents around the world swear their tot-checking devices are picking up paranormal activity. Imir O'Hagan listens in nervously. Picture a regular fall Friday evening when, after a typically boisterous bath time followed by the donning of superhero pajamas, my 4-year-old and 2-year-old sons, Rudahan and Donica, are hallelujah, tucked up asleep in their respective bedrooms. Collapsing on the sofa with a well-earned G&T, I glance at the baby monitor to see a now familiar but still somewhat unnerving sight in Donica's bedroom. 3 small green specks of light flickering on the screen as they dance like fireflies above my snoring toddler's cot bed. I can guarantee if I crept up the stairs and opened the door, there would be no sign of them. They are only visible on the monitor screen and only ever appear when the camera is in Donica's bedroom. Nowhere else in our home or at the hotels and friends' and relatives' houses where we've used it. I first noticed them over a year ago when we moved my youngest son from a cot in our bedroom to his own room in our 3-bed 19th century home in Scottish Borders. They don't appear every night, but we still see them several times a month. Initially, I heeded my husband Malcolm's pragmatic insistence that some sort of electrical interference or a fault with the monitor was to blame, but that didn't explain why we only saw orbs at home. Malcolm is a non-woo-woo as they come and refuses to ponder any sort of otherworldly explanation. And conscious that revealing the UFOs appear in my child's bedroom at night, in my mom's circles, might mark me out as odd, I kept quiet about it. This is until I saw something on Instagram that sent shivers down my spine. In a clip that went viral in 2016, Baby Connor appears to possess supernatural skills by balancing on the side of his cot for 22 seconds. This, coupled with his glowing eyes and rapid head movements, made millions of viewers speculate that the child was possessed. His parents, Chuck and Kate Booth, faced accusations of faking the video, but they appeared on a national news show in the U.S. to insist not. According to Father Mitchell Mansfield, a ball of light started appearing around the same time, 11 p.m. each evening, for several weeks last year. He says it hovered above his son for an hour or so before leaving. Australian mum Jade Yates says she was watching her daughter Ruby sleeping through the monitor when a shadowy figure appeared on the screen and lingered above the baby for a few minutes. A friend of a friend had posted about an app that links to her baby monitor and sends notifications to her phone when there is movement or sound in her baby's room, and how she gets these when the house is empty. She also wrote that she has seen a figure in her child's room on her monitor.
Another mother commented that she didn't invest in a baby monitor because of so many unsettling tales she'd heard about them picking up paranormal activity. A quick scan of some popular online parenting forums reveals lengthy discussion threads about this. Part of me scoffed. What nonsense. But the orbs. What if my monitor was also attracting spiritual visitors? Is this a thing? I wondered, and so goosebumps kept creeping up my arms. Fully expecting to be laughed off social media, I posted a request for other parents with spooky baby monitor experiences to share their stories. To my great surprise, I was inundated. A colleague recounted hearing a recording of a friend's baby monitor where the name Steve was whispered over and over. The family in question don't know a Steve. Then another recording of their child, someone's at the window, they want to get in. So unsettled were the parents that they called in a medium who believes the child has psychic abilities and are now selling their house to Spooked to stay. Sarah, from Dartmoor, also contacted me, at pains to insist that she was sane, a rational person. She told me about her six-year-old son's bedroom in their barn conversion, which by day is an ordinary little boy's room filled with Lego and storybooks, but by night it seems to be a hive of activity. This used to be my husband's grandmother's home, my son's great-granny. His bedroom was her kitchen, where she spent much of her time before she passed away, and the building was converted, said Sarah. Although he's 6, we still use a baby monitor because his room's a little way from ours in case he's feeling poorly or needs me in the night. Since he began sleeping there 5 years ago, we have regularly seen 2 light sources on the monitor. One is a round ball and the other is a more ribbon-shaped that travel around the room at varying speeds. Sarah and her husband tried to find a rational explanation for the orbs, but failed. Then Sarah says, one night after a glass of wine, I asked my husband if he thought it was possible that his grandmother was still present in the house. He was skeptical, but he needed to test the theory. Standing in the hall outside the room and watching the monitor, he asked, Granny, is that you? If it is, can you show your presence? Immediately, the round ball of light flashed across the room. Then I asked, are you just checking in on him? And as the light hovered over towards the end of the bed, we saw an indent on the duvet as if someone was sitting there. I know this sounds crazy, but I do now believe that she has a presence in that room, maybe because it was her haven when she was alive. I don't feel frightened by it. In fact, it's nice to think that she's watching over her great-grandson.
Another mother, Haley, got in touch to tell me about her video monitor, which picked up 3 balls of light hovering in the open doorway of her son's room one evening. I froze and tried to tell myself it was just a reflection of something. Then the balls rose in the air, moved into the room, and circled over my son's then aged 3 and 1, before whooshing towards the curtains and vanishing, says Haley, a business owner from Cheshire. It was over in less than 15 seconds. I bolted up the stairs to find the boy sleeping soundly, but the room had a very calm, settled feeling. I felt very shaken and upset. I never saw anything on the monitor again, but after that, my youngest went through a phase of telling me there was a man in his room. He would wave at the ceiling and say he was waving goodbye to him. According to psychic Amanda Took, infants and monitors are the perfect storm when it comes to arousing the paranormal. Babies and children up to the age of about 7 are very receptive to seeing and hearing spirits and angels. They are too young to have been conditioned into believing in such things. They simply accept. As we get older, we're told these things don't exist, so we close off to them even though they are all around us, says Amanda. She believes the spirits use electrical devices to communicate, so it's not common for parents to see and hear things on monitors that they can't explain. It's a golden opportunity for spirits to make themselves known. They don't want to scare us with a full-blown apparition, so they use the monitor to present as a light or a sound.
I tell Amanda an anecdote from another mother called Stacy who contacted me. Stacy's mother-in-law had died from cancer when Stacy was pregnant with her first child, a boy. He was then 3 months old. She moved him to his crib from her bedroom to his own nursery, which had very creaky floorboards. One night, about a week after we moved him into that room, I woke to hear the floor creaking through the monitor. At first, I assumed it was my husband. Then I realized he was in bed next to me, says Stacy. Then, clear as anything, I heard my mother-in-law saying, "You're so perfect. I'm so proud of you." I leapt out of bed and ran to his room, but he was sleeping peacefully. Around that time she died, I had experienced very strong premature contractions. I was only 28 weeks pregnant. 2 years after her death, my second child, a girl, was born on the same date that she died. Towards the end of that labor, I didn't think I could carry on, but I heard her voice comforting me and saying that I was having a girl. It's hard not to believe that she wanted to be a part of her grandchildren's lives, even after death. So now we have some more tales from the crib. There are many stories of baby monitors picking up supernatural activity. So we found stories from 3 other moms that share their creepy experiences.
When my daughter Sarah was 2, we moved into a very old rural cottage. Previously a brilliant sleeper, she began getting up every night, crying and unsettled, complaining she was cold even though the house was warm. The GP checked her out and said she was fine, so we invested in a video monitor to keep an eye on her. Every night we would hear a shh noise, and the temperature notification on the screen showed her room was much colder than the rest of the house. Before Sarah would start crying out for us, I was really frightened and confided in my mother, a practicing Catholic, who insisted the house be blessed by the local priest. My husband and I agreed, and after the blessing, which included holy water being sprinkled in Sarah's room, she returned to sleeping through, and there were no more noises via the monitor. That was from Angela in Belfast.
All right, so the next one says, once when my daughter was about 2, my monitor picked up my daughter laughing at something in her bedroom. I went to check on her, and she was pointing at something saying, "Man, funny man." Then Mummy's granddad. I told her, "No, granddad's at home. Go to sleep." She looked at me very seriously and said, "No, Mummy's granddad." He had died a year before she was born. And that was Christy from Milton Keynes.
One night when my son was 3 months old, we were staying at my parents' house with his crib and monitor in the spare room. Mum and I were watching TV when we heard a tuneless whistling via the monitor. I raced to the room, but it was empty, bar my son. A few days later, Mum mentioned it to a neighbor who told her that an elderly man, known for walking around whistling, had lived in their house years before. That was from Catherine in Edinburgh.
Amanda believes it's common for loved ones who have died to want to be around a new child when it's born. If parents are open to the idea that a deceased relative is present, then they may well see or hear activity that otherwise would be missed or dismissed because spirits are very subtle. Of course, for every believer, there is a skeptic, and consultant psychologist Dr. Elena Turoni of the Chelsea Psychology Clinic says all of these experiences are rooted in normal parental emotions, not the paranormal. Parents pay more attention to what is around them because of that heightened concern, noticing things they may have previously missed, and may read these sights and sounds as suspicious or even dangerous because of their anxiety. I asked Amanda about the green lights in my son's room. Orbs, which can be different colors, are often angels. These are different to spirits. Spirits are loved ones who have passed over, but we all have an angel assigned to us, she says. And then it says, I'm not sure how I'm going to explain this to my husband or whether I'm convinced, but there's no disputing that many parents believe something supernatural is going on in their child's room.
If you have ever actually had something like this happen to you, and if you did, please email us to tell us your story at boozeandbourbon@gmail.com.
Yeah, I would love to hear if people have these stories. I know that I do have a friend who's had not a baby monitor experience, but definitely an experience. It was pretty cool.
There's quite a few, actually. And I think we've spoke about a few before, because I know I gave a couple, 2 different friends had incidents happen. Again, not with baby monitors, but just with their kids encountering on one side it was like an actual deceased loved one, and then the other side they don't know who it is. So
right.
It is common.
Definitely. So there are lots of ways with connecting with Jen and I on social media. We are on Instagram. We're on Facebook. If you want to find us on Instagram, we are Booze and Bourbon. So BOOSAND Bourbon. And then on Facebook, we are Booze and Bourbon, the podcast. And we have lots of new friends and followers on both. So thank you to everybody who's joining in and seeing what Jen and I are up to. We just had our the 10-year challenge. Mm-hmm. That was fun.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoy that you have a Burger King cup in your hand.
Yeah, and yet I look more like a hot mess now than I did then when I used to drink a lot of alcohol in those cups, because, when you would go to like Burger King or McDonald's and get like whatever your mix was for your alcohol, and then you would then pour that alcohol into it to then carry to a dance. Or perhaps in that case, I think we were just out of town and too lazy to obviously just go get mix and actual cups, so we just did the same thing.
Gotcha. Well, you definitely don't look like a hot mess, but yeah, I was rocking some silver pants.
Really
and
like
the
those.
Interesting thing is I haven't been able to find those silver pants since. They're like the case of the traveling pants, the sisterhood of the traveling pants.
I wish you could find them though.
So there are other ways with connecting with us too, not just on social media. We are, of course, on Patreon. So if you head on over to patreon.com/booze and bourbon, you can find lots of fun things regarding Jen and I. So we do recipes, we do articles, and we also do teaser videos before the episode comes out, so you get to see what bourbon we're drinking and what topic we're covering. So we also want to do our little Patreon shout outs here because we love our patrons so much. So we have the ABV Network, we have the Ghost Story Guys, we have Rebecca Bolton, we have Stephanie McNew, we have Aaron Hamilton, we have Aaron, and we also have Cindy Buzzy. Thank you guys so much for being patrons. We very much appreciate you guys, and we hope that you're enjoying everything we're doing over on Patreon. We are signing off, and we will catch you guys next Friday for an all-new episode of Booze and Bourbon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Booze and Bourbon is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to advertise on the show, please head over to abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.